Blah, blah, blah. I have came back from the dead. I might have been gone for a year, but it's time to fulfill my promise, ranking every Disney movie in one giant video. A while back, I ranked every Disney movie in their own separate videos, according to the era they were created in. But now I'll be ranking every Disney animated movie, including Wish and Moana 2, which I have yet to talk about. Also, a lot of my opinions of the movies I previously talked about have changed a ton. First off, what counts towards this list? The 63 movies created by Walt Disney Animation Studios are the only movies I'll be including in this video, which is a lot of movies, but this doesn't include any live-action movies or direct-to-video sequels. For example, the 2023 remake of The Little Mermaid or the Aladdin sequels won't be on this list. But I have made videos on those topics in the past, so you can check those out. Admittedly, they are kind of old videos though. I really doubt anyone is crazy enough to rank all 63 movies in the comments, but if you are that crazy, go ahead and comment them, or maybe just your top 5. Alright, first off in last place we got kind of a predictable pick, as the animated package films created during the wartime era are by far the worst. These movies were created on a much smaller budget than any of the other movies, and like the title package film suggests, these were a collection of much smaller shorts compiled into one movie and then released into theaters. I actually don't find these movies awful, and the history behind them is interesting, but because of the nature of being essentially just a duct taped together bunch of shorts, they are outclassed by all the more traditional movies. Out of these package films, Melody Time is my least favorite. The shorts found here were the least interesting out of the bunch, and you really feel the 1 hour runtime. Next up, we have the three Calabrios. I really enjoyed the dynamic between the three birds, Donald Duck, Jose Carioca, and Panchito. Saludos Amigos is a very similar movie to the three Calabrios, but being only half the runtime makes it far more enjoyable. Make Mine Music is actually the only core Walt Disney Animated Studio movie not available on Disney+. It's okay for what it is, but like all of these wartime package films, they don't really compare to any of the single storyline movies in my opinion. And in first place out of these movies, I have Fun and Fancy Free, which instead of following a bunch of shorts, it's only two 30-minute shorts. The first one follows a bear escaping from the circus, and it's an okay short. But the second one is the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, but following Mickey and Friends, which was a solid short, especially for the time. After this, I would put Fantasia and Fantasia 2000, which are more so musical experiences than actual movies. I am not a very big fan of these, but they are very impressive in both animation and music, especially the original Fantasia that was made 85 years ago. I much prefer a movie that follows a storyline, but these are not without their value. And if other people enjoy these, I can definitely see why, but they don't really do much for me. And now for what you've probably been waiting for, a Disney movie that people have actually heard of. And it's Frozen 2, which I do not like very much. None of the songs I vibed with, and the story feels really messy, almost as if the movie doesn't know where it's going itself. But if you do like Frozen 2, that's actually awesome, and that goes for any movie on this list, and you can always leave a comment telling me why you like the movies I dislike, or why you dislike the movies I like. Strange World is another movie that I feel a lot of people haven't seen or maybe even know exists, even though it only came out 3 years ago. But it seems that it's already been forgotten, and for those who haven't seen it, you're not missing out on much, because it's pretty boring and not very funny. The strange world they explore is also not much of a strange world, it's more of an AI slop generated type of world. It tries to be abstract, but it ends up being pretty generic and boring. The Black Cauldron is a movie that is dull, not a fun watch. It feels really long. I didn't especially like any of the heroes, and the villain was kind of lame. Overall, kind of a stinker. Home on the Range is next, and yet again, down here at the bottom of the list, these are movies I don't care for very much. One thing I will say about this movie though, is this movie is a complete fever dream. I think it's pretty well known that a lot of people do not like Ralph Breaks the Internet very much. I am one of these people. It's not a very good movie. They decided to make Ralph a bit different in this one, They made an obsessive, clingy weirdo. Ralph needs to improve himself now! I actually do like every Disney princess scene, and all the Disney cameos, even though it's fan service, is still by far the best part of the movie for me. Next up, we have Dumbo, which I'm pretty indifferent towards, but I do like that other people like it. This is where I'd place the Winnie the Pooh movies. Both are pretty good for what they are. At the end of the day, they're still Winnie the Pooh movies, so I can't really say much about them since I'm nowhere close to the target audience. Wish is one of Disney's newest movies, and it has had a lot of mixed to negative reaction from both critics and general moviegoers. And as much as I want to be positive about it, it's kinda mediocre. I like the storybook look that the film has, and I like that it's an original movie instead of a sequel or a remake. But it also feels kinda half-baked. It feels like not a lot happens during the movie, and what does happen isn't all too interesting. The villain is also kind of mid. He was hyped up to be a return to form for Disney villains from the Renaissance era, like Scar, Gaston, and Ursula, but he falls flat. He has the first villain song since 2010's Princess and the Frog. This is the thanks I get? More like this is the song I get. In theaters, you already know, the crowd went mild. I like the protagonist, Asha, but I wish she was in a better movie. Now for Disney's newest movie. The sequel to Moana is more of a 1.5 than an actual sequel. A lot of the movie is setting up a potential Moana 3, which makes this movie not really stand on its own. It also Venom the Last Dances us by having the main villain not even fight their protagonist and instead imply they'll fight at a later date. However, this does make sense as Moana 2 was originally a Disney Plus show, but then was turned into a movie later on. You can definitely feel this with the pacing being a little bit awkward where the episodes would have originally ended. The songs in this movie also aren't horrible, but don't compare at all to the original. That actually goes for the entire movie. This movie did make a ton of money though, $1 billion! So I think it's safe to say, Disney will be stepping back on releasing movies on Disney Plus and instead aiming for theatrical releases. We can already see this with the Lilo & Stitch live action now coming to theaters, instead of the original plan of dropping it on Disney Plus. Alice in Wonderland is a movie that previously I did not like very much, but it's grown on me over the last couple of years. Although it's not one of my favorite movies by any means, I can see why other people like it so much. I think one of the reasons I like it more now is because I watched the Alice in Wonderland remake, which is also kind of a sequel but a remake at the same time, with a lot of the events in the original taking place in the past, which makes this a fun game of seeing the things that were referenced in each movie take place in one another. 2 years ago, I also said that Alice in Wonderland was a movie for hipsters, and I wanted to say that I was right. Alice in Wonderland is for hipsters, but maybe I'm a little bit of a hipster too, because my view of this movie has improved enough to where I would say I like it. Dinosaur is a movie I used to love a lot, but I think this has more to do with it being about dinosaurs than actually being a good movie. It's not bad, and there's definitely enjoyment to be had here. But most of the actual good parts of this movie takes place during the first 20 minutes. Bolt is a decent movie. It does what it tries to do well enough, but isn't anything super special. Which is okay, not every movie needs to be a genre-defining masterpiece. I think a lot of people do like this movie though because it was an important part of their childhood. Oliver and Company is a cute movie that I can see a lot of people enjoying. The Aristocats is Aristocats, not Aristocrats, is a solid movie, and I like all the cast, especially the two dogs, Napoleon and Lafayette, which are the best parts of the movie for me. The Hunchback of Notre Dame is one of those movies where although I know it's a good movie, I also don't really like it that much. I definitely see why other people would like this movie, but personally, it's not a favorite of mine. Next we have Pocahontas, which is a bit of a mixed bag. I really like the music and the animated sequences that come with the songs, but the actual movie is kinda just okay. It's by no means bad, but it does tend to be a bit boring. Also, the love story between Pocahontas and John feels a little bit forced and unnatural. Cinderella is a classic movie that I actually do like quite a bit, but it is admittedly a tiny bit dated, and in my opinion, a little bit outclassed by the other movies. Hello, this is me from editing, and I forgot to include Princess and the Frog, but this is where I would put it. Also, if you're enjoying this video, you should do something like crazy, and just like subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Big Hero 6 is a weird movie because it's really good in some parts, but also really bad in others. I really like the opening to this movie. I like the relationship between Hiro and Tadashi, and I always thought the Microbot Fight Club scene was really cool. But the villain in this movie is garbage! And the side characters are all pretty forgettable. I also like how Hiro has some conflict when it comes to catching the person responsible for his brother's death, even including some extreme methods. Overall, a pretty good movie. Next up we have Encanto, which although a good movie, I kinda wish they had made it more of an adventure, but that's not this movie, and that's okay. I also kinda hate the grandma in this movie. I know you're supposed to dislike her and then come around by the end, but, no, I don't like her. Zootopia is another good movie, but also suffers from the same things that Big Hero 6 does. That being that the villain of this movie is a really bad example of a twist villain. I'm excited for the sequel because with a proper villain, that hopefully is not a twist villain this time around, I think it has a chance to be even better. Wreck-It Ralph is a good movie, much better than its sequel, and unlike the sequel, I really like Ralph as a character. I also especially like Fix-It Felix. Also, Bowser is in this movie, Sonic is in this movie, Eggman is in this movie. The movie is packed with video game references and characters. Too bad it wasn't like Pixels and had Cubert turn into a human woman and have hybrid babies with the one guy. Frozen is a good movie, and it definitely makes sense to why it was so popular for such a long time. But at the same time, because it was prominent for such a long time, it's a movie that I don't ever feel a need to revisit, but still a good modern classic. Lady and the Tramp is a nice OG Disney movie. I like all the characters in this movie, and I think it's a good time. Next up, I'm grouping The Rescuers and The Rescuers Down Under together. Both the original and its sequel are good, but they also do some things better than the other movie does in this duology. The first movie has more of a focus on the two main mice, Bianca and Bernard, which is something that the sequel lacked and almost delegated them to being side characters with the lack of screen time they had, even though they are the best thing about these movies. But the sequel does have far better animation, a more interesting plot, a far better villain, and is also a more consistently funny movie. I really love the Rescuers movies, but admittedly they do feel a bit dated and slow-paced. But still, if you haven't seen these movies, you should definitely check them out. Sleeping Beauty is another classic Disney movie. The animation in this movie has aged insanely well and still looks great to this day, especially all of the backgrounds. Also, Maleficent is a great Disney villain. Brother Bear is a movie that my opinion on has changed a ton. The opening part where the three brothers, or anytime the other brothers are on screen, are all amazing. But the times where it's only Kenine and Coda are kinda average, but sort of looks bad when compared to the other parts of the movie, just because they are that good. Overall, a really nice movie. Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Something this movie does really well is having some great world building, not only in the fictional place of Atlantis, but also the team of explorers themselves are all from different places around the world, which really makes this feel like a team assembled of the best. A hand-picked team that is at the pinnacle of their respected fields, which is something that adds some realism to this movie. I also think Milo is a great protagonist, and I really like how even when Helga was betrayed by Commander Lyle, she didn't join up with the heroes, but instead tried to get revenge by herself. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is actually the only movie from the wartime era that I did not include at the beginning of the list, and that is because I really like this movie. Both of the two shorts found in this movie are great for their own reasons. The first short, Mr. Toad, is a great comedy, and Ichabod in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow has an amazing chase sequence. Although these movies are a bit older and dated, you gotta pay respects to the classics. Next up is Peter Pan. In a previous video, I said that Peter Pan was a bad protagonist, which I actually don't think. I don't know why I said that at all. Overall, this is a pretty good movie. It is a lively world and a great villain. The Sword and the Stone is next, which admittedly probably shouldn't be this far on this list, but I really like this movie. It's a really charming movie that feels cozy. It feels like the type of movie I would watch on a VHS at my grandma's house as a kid. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which gets this far on the list mostly by being the first Disney animated movie, and also the first animated movie to be a feature-length film in general. Which makes everything this movie do so much cooler, knowing that this movie came out 86 years ago, and was also the first of its kind. Even without that though, this is still a really great movie. I especially like both the villain, the Evil Queen, and her defeat. Raya and the Last Dragon came out at an unfortunate time, so I don't think a lot of people have had the chance to see this one, but you should definitely check it out if you haven't. It's a good movie that has some awesome fight scenes and animation. Tarzan has some of the best animation I have ever seen in a 2D animated film, period. And it also might be the most brutal Disney movie. Not only does the villain straight up die, he doesn't just fall down and then be assumed to be dead, but he is dead. His neck snaps.
I think there's someone hanging right there.
Overall, this is a fantastic movie that I highly recommend checking out. Next up, we have Bambi, which is another iconic Disney movie. My opinion on this one has definitely improved a lot, and I really like this movie. It's an adorable movie that tells the story of Bambi's life. The Jungle Book is a really great movie. I love both Bagheera and Baloo. And also, Shere Khan is a fantastic and intimidating villain. The Great Mouse Detective is really a great movie. And at this point of the list, from now on, all of these movies are films that I absolutely love. Not only is this movie very funny, but it also has a great villain, Ratigan. Next up, we have Moana, which is what I would consider to be a modern Disney classic. In 10 to 15 years, this is going to be a movie that people look back on as an example of making a great animated film. Not only is Moana a great protagonist, but I think something this movie does very well, other than the obvious action and comedy, is the interactions between Moana and her family. It really does feel like genuine conversations she would have with her father or grandmother. Beauty and the Beast is probably the movie my opinion has improved upon the most. I still mostly feel the same, but for the things I do like about this movie, those levels have definitely went up. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the Beast parts, I really like the small town and Gaston parts of the film. Robin Hood is such a great and charming movie. Robin Hood is also one of the best protagonists, and although Prince John is a wimpy wimp, this doesn't stop him from being one of the best Disney villains. Overall, a fantastic movie. Treasure Planet might have the best twist villain of all time. Although it's not really a twist villain, but more of a reverse twist villain. The audience knows from the beginning Long John Silver's intentions, but it is unknown to Jim and the rest of the heroes. But what this movie does so well is making believable bonding experiences between Silver and Jim up until the betrayal, until the end of the movie when Silver turns around and helps Jim, instead of the gold. The Little Mermaid. You don't even need me to say anything else. You already know it's a classic. Great story, great animation, great songs, and single-handedly revived Disney. Lilo and Stitch is another great movie. It's funny, it's charming, and it's a really great time. Pinocchio is next, and it is one of the weirdest movies ever, but also one of the most creative and entertaining movies ever. Chicken Little. This movie is actually the bane of my existence. It's been 2 years and I still think about it. I can't escape this. I'm still talking about this movie. And there is no reason that Chicken Little should be this high on the list of any normal person. But I am not normal. Chicken Little changed me. I love this movie, but I also hate this movie. But in all seriousness, making the Chicken Little video 2 years ago actually tricked my brain into really liking this movie. Is it good? No. But it is a really funny movie, and I'm never gonna not love Chicken Little. Meet the Robinsons is an extremely underrated and funny movie, and I love the villain here too. Aladdin is another absolutely goated movie, with some great music and the exceptional character of the genie. Hercules is yet again another great movie. It has an amazing villain, good protagonist, and some terrific songs. Next we have The Fox and the Hound, which is one of the most heartbreaking and heartwarming movies in one. If you know, you know. Now entering the top 5, we have 101 Dalmatians. This is a fantastic and amazing movie. It's fantastic-amazing, and has the top-notch hateable villain Cruella. In number 4, we have Mulan, who is another great Disney protagonist. I really like all the songs here as well. And the part of the movie where it cuts from a girl worth fighting for to silence to reveal the massacre that happened is a really intense and a perfectly executed scene. In number 3, we have The Lion King, which is one of the best animated movies of all time, with a stellar villain, songs, animation, and story. In number 2, we have Tangled, which for me is the best modern Disney movie by far. It has a spectacular protagonist, a hateable villain, and Flynn is also a really great character. And since there's only one more movie left, that means there's only one movie it could be.
Ha! Boom, baby!
The Emperor's New Groove might just be the funniest movie I have ever seen. Cusco also has to be one of the best character arcs. He goes from a narcissistic ruler to a caring leader and friend of the people. Yzma and Kronk are also both some of my favorite characters. Overall, this is by far my favorite Disney movie, and also one of my favorite animated movies, and one of my favorite movies in general of all time. Anyways, if you made it to the end of this super long, massive video, you can leave a thumbs up, subscribe. You could always subscribe. I can always use more subscribers. You could leave a comment. You could go take your dog for a walk. You could, yeah, do all that stuff, you know?